the dismantling of the government agencies seeking to return money to Americans who are defrauded by the big banks. Can you maybe muster up enough energy to give a speech about that? House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. God, the Democrats are so pathetic. They're so pathetic because if you don't agree with what the Trump administration is up to, if you don't identify as a Republican, if you didn't want to vote for Donald Trump, what other option do you have? Okay? The party that tried to run a decomposing corpse?
Kasparian is calling out Hakeem Jeffries and other establishment Democrats for what she sees as their outright surrender to Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. She's not just criticizing their acknowledgement of Trump's election victory, she's furious that they're openly admitting they have no strategy to counter him. Despite still identifying as a Democrat, Kasparian has distanced herself from the party's mainstream narratives, often pushing back against what she sees as weak leadership. Alongside Cenk Uygur, she's frustrated that figures like Jeffries seem to have no real plan to challenge Trump and his supporters. Watch as Kasparian goes off on the Democratic Party's failure to fight back. Is she right? Let us know in the comments.
We want to make life better for the American people, but I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? Republicans have repeatedly lectured America. They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
The fearless opposition party, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. There's nothing we can do. What do you want us to do? I'm going to stand here as the House Minority Leader and complain about how we don't have any leverage when I could be messaging about how there's a robbery going on right now as we speak. The dismantling of the government agencies seeking to return money to Americans who are defrauded by the big banks. Can you maybe muster up enough energy to give a speech about that? House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. God, the Democrats are so pathetic. They're so pathetic because if you don't agree with what the Trump administration is up to, if you don't identify as a Republican, if you didn't want to vote for Donald Trump, what other option do you have? Okay? The party that tried to run a decomposing corpse, and then when he got caught, they anointed the Democratic nominee. The party that keeps telling you that there's nothing they can do, whether they're in power or out of power.
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
So, guys, you've literally heard me sometimes sing this line. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we can do. That's the Democratic mantra. And that they say that when they get in power. They're like, oh, the filibuster, the parliamentarian, skittle-boo. You're like, that's not even a word. It doesn't matter. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could do.
So pathetic.
And now that they're in the minority, here comes Hakeem Jeffries to sing the same song. There's nothing we could do. Then what? You know what? The American people believed you. You kept telling them that you can't do anything, so they voted you out of power because you can't do anything. Why don't you man up and grow a spine and a brain and actually figure out a strategy? That moron just said, well, and you know, the Republicans have the House and the Senate and the White House, and the Republicans message to the American people. Wait, why don't you message to the American people? You're doing a press conference right there, schmuck. Why don't you get out your message? I didn't think about that. Look, I need you to understand, these Democratic leadership, mainstream media told you your whole life about how venerate, oh, these amazing people. They literally said when we were criticizing Barack Obama from the left, you don't understand, he's doing four-dimensional chess. He four-dimensional chess to no change at all other than Obamacare. Okay, he 4D chess all the way to a giant bank bailout that made the Democratic Party deeply unpopular and lost 1,000 seats. And here comes Hakeem Jeffries to go, there's nothing I can do. They're dumb. They're right, and they're incompetent.
Incompetent, feckless.
Total losers.
Yep, 100%. This is it. This is the opposition party. So look.
Cenk Uygur has been calling out the Democratic establishment for a while now, especially after his own presidential run, where he was clearly sidelined for not being part of the political club. But something about his recent criticism still feels a bit performative. Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. On the other hand, Kasparian's shift away from mainstream Democratic narratives seems more genuine. She started pushing back at the height of Biden's presidency when it made no strategic sense to do so, unlike Cenk, who really ramped up his criticism only after Trump won. That said, it's refreshing to see at least some voices on the left, like Anna and even Cenk, acknowledging the incompetence and dishonesty in their own ranks. Meanwhile, figures like David Pakman, Hassan Piker, and mainstream media personalities continue to push the same scripted narratives. What do you think? Is Cenk Uygur being sincere, or is this just another performance? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
His explanation for why Democrats can't deliver for Americans right now is that Republicans just never let them get anything done. Right? That's the role of your opposition party, Hakeem Jeffries. But isn't it amazing that when Republicans want something, they usually find a way to get what they want? Anyway, he doubled down later in the same press conference. Let's hear what the House Minority Leader has to say.
We've made clear from the beginning, there's a season to govern and a season to campaign. We are in the governing season. And so we're ready to work together on any issue. But I'm also confused about the leverage that we allegedly have in the face of such an overwhelming mandate that was given to Republicans by the American people, according to them.
Listen, no one is stupid enough to think that Democrats have a modicum of power right now. They don't. They have no power right now. We all understand that. But how about take a look at the behavior of Republicans when they are not in power? You want to know what they do? They don't shut up. Okay? They're doing press conferences. They're doing congressional hearings. They're repetitive. Again and again. I mean, the Hillary Benghazi thing. Every single day, Hillary Benghazi, Hillary Benghazi, Hillary Benghazi. Democrats, though, oh, they cower. They cower. And then they tell their own supporters, shut up. There's nothing we can do because we don't have enough power. And then what they'll say is, we need to have control of Congress. And then everyone will get out the vote. They'll organize. They'll canvass. They'll fight real hard to ensure Democrats have the majority in Congress in both the lower chamber, Senate. And guess what they do with that power? Nothing. That's what Biden had. And then it was excuse after excuse after excuse for why they can't get their own agenda accomplished, even when they had control of the executive branch and they had control of Congress. But don't worry, don't fret.
Democrats rally their voters with dire warnings about Trump, urging them to vote to save democracy. But once in power, they fail to deliver real change. Instead, they focus on symbolic gestures, like appointing diversity hires in the military or flying pride flags, while ignoring the actual issues they campaigned on. This has led even prominent left-wing figures like Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur to turn against them. They've realized that despite all the rhetoric, the Democratic establishment consistently breaks its promises, leaving its supporters frustrated. If the left actually listened to voices like Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, they might pose a real challenge to conservatives, but luckily for the right, they probably won't. Meanwhile, Republicans continue to focus on tangible issues affecting Americans, while Democrats repeat the same fear-driven narratives about Trump being a threat to democracy. If he were truly trying to overthrow the government, would he have peacefully left office? The hysteria doesn't match reality. What do you think? Are Democrats failing their base, or is this just politics as usual? Let's discuss in the comments. Let's back to the video.
Because there's another Democratic leader who's going to fight for us, and she's going to explain how in this next clip.
My whole passion about being in politics is for the children. So what is it that we're doing for the children? I think that it would have been important for the children to not have Donald Trump be president of the United States. And that is, I would take every step necessary to make sure that didn't happen, but it did. And now we have to deal with it. And in about 6 or 7 months, you're going to see such a change. By the time we start our campaigns in this fall, for next fall, you're going to see a very different picture about the Democrats vis-a-vis Donald Trump.
Retire. She's sitting there and talking about, like, don't worry, in 6 months, we might start fighting back. Like,
And I want to explain why she says 6 to 7 months. First, let me go through all this, and we're going to be constructive. I'm going to tell you what they actually should do, okay? Because I think we're the only show that ever does that, right? So first of all, on Hakeem Jeffries, he says, well, there's nothing we do in the minority. But wait a minute, when you were in the majority and Biden had the House, the Senate, and the White House, you also said there was nothing you could do. Why? because the GOP was blocking all your bills, even though they were in the minority because of the filibuster.
If I were a kid and happened to see a clip of Nancy Pelosi saying her passion is with the children, I'd be seriously creeped out. Even as an adult, it comes off unsettling. There's just something about the way she says it. It's weird and off-putting. But aside from that, what's really interesting is Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur calling out the woke left for essentially surrendering to Trump and MAGA. It's wild to see left-wing figures openly admitting that Democrats have no real strategy to fight back. What do you think? Are they right about the left giving up, or is there more to the story? Drop your thoughts in the comments.